When using an impact driver, a poor quality bit holder can really slow you down. So the question is that $1 bit holder just as good as the one that costs $20? Let's find out. In the first test, we'll see which bit holder drives in the screw the fastest and which ones go up in smoke. Then we'll see which bit holder can handle the most torque. We'll see which one has the strongest magnet. Then we'll see which ones offer the best grip on a bit. We're probably going to break at least one or two of these, so I went ahead and bought two of each brand. At a price of $10 for 10 bit holders, or just $1 each, the least expensive brand we'll be testing is made by Horusdy. According to the manufacturer, this bit holder is super magnetic and has good absorption. We're going to test that. Not easy to fall off during the process. The Horusdy is made in China. The Horusdy weighs 25.7 grams. Bit holder construction can have a huge impact on work efficiency and speed. So let's drive in some 5/16 by 5" screws. I'll use a fully charged battery before testing each brand. And the Horusdy made very quick work of the first screw at 4.71 seconds. And the second and third screw took 4.8 and 4.5 seconds for an overall average speed of 4.67 seconds. And the Horusdy held up very well with only a small amount of wear. With a name like Tomoto Palace, I couldn't resist testing this brand. It's $5 for 10 bits or $2 each. It claims to be made of industrial-grade heavy-duty chrome vanadium steel. It claims to have very strong magnetism, 2.4 inches in length. The Tomoto Palace brand is made in China. The Tomoto Palace is pretty light at 19.2 grams. And the Tomoto Palace has a 1/4-inch shaft that's been pressed into the round bit holder. And the Tomoto Palace is about a second slower than the Horusdy on the first screw at 5.57 seconds. And the second screw took about a second longer at 6.6 seconds as the shaft began to slip inside the bit holder. The Tomoto Palace drove in the screw even faster this time at 5.3 seconds and an average speed across 3 screws at 5.84 seconds. And the Tomoto Palace is very hot at 168 degrees Fahrenheit. And the new bit holder began in very good shape, but it's made of a pretty soft metal and experienced a lot of wear and tear during the test. The bit holder that I just tested is on the left and a new one is on the right. And the impact driver drove in the 1/4-inch shaft into the bit holder by about a 1/2 inch. At a price of $8 for 3 bits, or we'll just round up to $3 each, is this Yakamoz brand. The Yakamoz uses a locking system. The Yakamoz is made in China. The Yakamoz weighs 26.9 grams. And the Yakamoz is a little bit slower than the Horusdy on the first screw at 5.06 seconds. And the bit holder is a little bit slower on the second and third screws, averaging 5.38 seconds to move into second place behind the Horusdy. And the Yakamoz stayed a lot cooler than the Tomoto Palace at 101 degrees Fahrenheit. And the Yakamoz did experience a lot of wear and tear as the shaft did begin to spin inside the main body of the bit holder. At a price of $3 is this Makita ImpactX. Convenient pickup and retention of screws. C-clip securely retains 1-inch bits in the holder. One-piece design is engineered for maximum durability. The Makita is made in Taiwan. And the Makita is the heaviest yet at 27 grams. And the Makita ImpactX is very fast on the first screw at only 4.4 seconds. And the Makita need a little bit more time on the second and third screws, averaging 4.7 seconds, moving into a 2-way tie for first place with the Horusdy. And the Makita is slightly hot at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. And the Makita still looks as good as new with no visible wear and tear. At a price of $5 is this DeWalt 4 3/4-inch bit holder. The DeWalt has a sleeve that provides protection against injury to fingers. It holds screws securely in place. The DeWalt is a magnetic bit holder. The DeWalt is made in China. The DeWalt weighs 41.6 grams. And things seemed to be going well for the DeWalt, but the DeWalt began to slow down a lot and it suddenly began to smoke. And the DeWalt needed about 7.86 seconds on the first screw. After about 2 seconds of attempting to drive in the second screw, the DeWalt finally gave up. And the bit holder experienced a lot of wear and tear and it's extremely hot. At a price of $15 or $5 each is this Ryobi brand. Magnetic tips provide secure grip on 1-inch insert bits. The length of the bit holders is 2 3/8, 3 and 4 3/4 inches. The screw guide prevents wobble to drive screws in straight every time. The Ryobi bit holders are impact rated. The Ryobi bit holders are made in Indonesia. The shortest of the 3 is 28.2 grams, 41 grams, and 35.4 grams for the longest of the 3. And the shortest of the 3 Ryobi bit holders is constructed in one piece. And the Ryobi is very fast at 4.4 seconds on the first screw. And the Ryobi is just about as fast on the next 2 screws to move into the lead at 4.6 seconds on average. And the Ryobi short bit holder looks as good as new. And the medium-length Ryobi bit holder isn't quite as fast at 4.8 seconds on the first screw. And the Ryobi averaged 4.9 seconds or about 0.3 of a second slower than the Ryobi short. 94.3 degrees and a very small amount of wear and tear to the Ryobi. The longest of the 3 Ryobi bit holders is constructed of 2 pieces pressed together. And the longest of the Ryobi bit holders also took the longest to drive into screws on average at 5.1 seconds. And the Ryobi stayed cool and it held up very well. At a price of $6 is this Impact Tough Quick Change bit holder made by Bosch. Bosch claims their bit has 10 times the life over standard bits. Extended torsion zone helps absorb high torque. Advanced design provides provides a secure fit. Heat-treated manufacturing for increased durability. To install and remove the bit, you have to pull outward on the bit holder collar. The Bosch is made in Vietnam. The Bosch weighs 26.3 grams. The Bosch is very fast at 4.25 seconds on the first screw, and the Bosch moves into a two-way tie for first place with the Ryobi short at 4.6 seconds on average. The Bosch kept its cool at 86.9 degrees and still looks as good as new. At a price of $7 is this Makita Impact Gold Ultramagnetic Torsion Impact Bit Holder. It claims their magnet is 2 times stronger than standard bit holders. We're going to test that. Extreme torsion technology is engineered to allow torsion section of the bit holder to flex under load. Insert bit holder into tool. Pull holder sleeve off. Insert bit, slide holder sleeve on. Attach screw for one-handed fastening. The Makita is made in China. The Makita Gold weighs 33.6 grams. The Makita Gold is slower than the Bosch at 5 seconds and almost a half a second slower than the leaders. The extended impact zone on the Makita seems to have really slowed down the Makita bit holder. 88.5 degrees and the Makita held up really well and looks as good as new. At a price of $7 is this Irwin lock and load bit holder. It claims to be highly durable. Patented jaw design holds bits securely on 6 flats. Designed for one-handed quick release. The Irwin is made in China. Comparing the Irwin to the other locking systems is by far the most user-friendly. No messing around with the collar during installation of the bit. To remove the bit, pull inward on the sleeve. The Irwin weighs 44.4 grams. The Irwin is very close to 5 seconds on the first screw, and the Irwin is even slower than the Makita Gold at 5.3 seconds on average. 96.2 degrees and the Irwin looks as good as new. At a price of $8 is this Hilti brand. Hilti's magnetic bit holder is 2 inches in length. The bit holder is compatible with Hilti's high-performing line of drywall screwdrivers. The Hilti brand is made in the Czech Republic, and the Hilti is pretty light at 20.6 grams. The Hilti is constructed of 2 pieces pressed together, and the Hilti averaged right at 5 seconds for each of the 3 screws. 90.7 degrees, and the Hilti is still in great shape. At a price of $8 is this Neiko lock and load bit holder. Magnetic drill bit holders speed up the drilling process. Allows you to set the driving depth. To change out the bit, you do have to do some disassembly and reassembly. The Neiko is made in Taiwan. The Neiko weighs 23.7 grams. The Neiko is constructed of 2 pieces pressed together, and the Neiko is slower than average at 5.4 seconds per screw. 88.6, and the Neiko experienced a very small amount of wear. At a price of $9 is this DeWalt brand. Locking mechanism for accessory retention. To remove the bit, you have to pull back on the collar. Magnetism for fastener retention. Includes a slim 11mm profile for fastening and drilling in tight spaces. The DeWalt is made in Taiwan. The DeWalt weighs 37 grams. Like many of the other brands, the DeWalt is constructed of 2 pieces pressed together. And the DeWalt is faster than most of the other brands at 4.7 seconds on average, which is good enough to move into second place. 84.4 degrees and the DeWalt looks as good as new. At a price of $10 is this Norske brand. It's a heavy-duty magnetic bit and screw holder, engineered to withstand high torque and heavy load applications. Retractable guide sleeve eliminates wobbling and slipping while driving screws. Heavy-duty ring magnet holds screws securely in place for easy and accurate fastening. To eject the bit, you pull inward on the sleeve. The Norske is made in Taiwan. The Norske weighs 33.5 grams. The Norske is constructed of 2 pieces just like the DeWalt. And the Norske is quite a bit slower than average at 5.6 seconds. And the Norske stayed cool at 85.1 degrees and experienced a very small amount of wear and tear. At a price of $10 is this Crescent Vortex. It claims to make bits last 500 times longer. It claims to be unstoppable and unbreakable. We're going to test that. Optimized tip geometry for best fit. The Crescent is 3.5 inches in length. Helps to eliminate cam out and promotes fastener retention. The Crescent is made in China. And the Crescent is by far the heaviest yet at 81 grams. And the Crescent Vortex claims to be unstoppable and unbreakable. And the Crescent Vortex is quite a bit slower than average at 6 seconds on the first screw, 6.23 seconds on the second screw, and it's even slower on the third screw at 6.64 seconds. So the Crescent Vortex is losing quite a bit of speed with each subsequent screw. And the Crescent Vortex is extremely hot at 222 degrees. At a price of $11 is this Milwaukee brand. 2 7/8 inches in length. Intuitive auto-locking design. The small profile quick-release collar allows for one-handed bit tip changes. Includes 2 magnets to maximize magnetic transfer and holding power. The Milwaukee is made in China. The Milwaukee weighs 44.3 grams. Just like the other brands, the Milwaukee is pressed together. And the Milwaukee is a little bit faster than average at 5 seconds. There's no temperature issues with the Milwaukee at 88.2 degrees, and the Milwaukee is still in great shape. At a price of $18 is this Wera Rapid Adapter Universal Bit Holder. Includes a quick-release chuck. Allows for one-handed bit exchange for both insert and power bits. Free spinning outer sleeve stabilizes power tool during screw driving. Bits are easily inserted with press-in and self-locking mechanism that holds bits securely and wobble-free. To eject the bit, you just push outward on the sleeve. The Wera is made in the Czech Republic. The Wera weighs 26.5 grams. Instead of pressing a hexagonal shaft into a round hole, the Wera has a hexagonal shaft fitted into a hexagonal-shaped bit holder assembly. And the Wera is very fast at only 4.6 seconds on average. 93 degrees and the Wera still looks as good as new. At a price of $20, the most expensive bit holder we'll be testing is the Wiha Click Fix. The Wiha is 3 inches in length. One-handed quick change tool for use with standard impact bits. Pressing the sleeve inward locks the bit into position. Pressing the sleeve outward releases the bit. The Wiha is made in Germany. The Wiha weighs 31.6 grams. And the Wiha is constructed a lot like the other brands with a hexagonal shaft pressed into a round bit holder assembly. The Wiha is faster than average at 4.7 seconds. 78.4 degrees and still looks as good as new. Bit holder design and construction has a pretty big impact on performance, and the Bosch, Wera, and the short Ryobi bit holders are the fastest at 4.6 seconds. The very affordable Horusdy, the DeWalt with a locking mechanism, Makita ImpactX, and the Wiha are almost as fast at 4.7 seconds. Assessing wear is highly subjective, but most of the brands still look as good as new with a wear rating of 1. The Tomoto Palace and the DeWalt experienced the most damage and also became very hot. The Crescent Vortex became the hottest, but there's no outward visible signs of damage. Since several of the bit holders have moving parts that could be affected by exposure to dirt and dust, let's go ahead and toss them into a container and shake them around for about a minute to see how they hold up. And all of the bit holders held up just fine except for the Yakamoz, which actually fell apart. I also checked all the bit holders that have locking mechanisms, and they all work just fine. Fortunately, I purchased more than one bit holder for each brand. So let's find out the maximum torque that they can handle next. I'll use a torque adapter to keep track of the maximum torque. For a $1 bit holder, the Horusdy actually performed extremely well at 723 inch-pounds. And the Horusdy shaft experienced quite a bit of twisting before it finally snapped. And the Tomoto Palace threw in the towel very quickly at only 168 inch-pounds. Unfortunately, the shaft broke free from the bit holder assembly. And the Yakamoz performed quite a bit better than the Tomoto Palace at 352 inch-pounds. Just like the Tomoto Palace, the shaft became separated from the main body of the bit holder. And the Makita XPS just refused to break. And the metal shaft continued to twist over and over and finally formed the shape of a pretzel, peaking out at 381 inch-pounds. Since the last DeWalt bit holder broke during testing, this is a new bit holder. And the DeWalt gave up at only 166 inch-pounds, about the same as the Tomoto Palace. Just like the first DeWalt bit holder, the shaft broke away from the main body of the bit holder. The short Ryobi bit holder looks very well built, but it gave up a little bit soon at 366 inch-pounds. The bit holder broke at the very narrow point in the shaft referred to as the torsion zone. And the medium-length Ryobi bit holder takes the lead from the Horusdy at 759 inch-pounds. The shaft finally broke free from the main body of the bit holder. And the longest of the 3 Ryobi bit holders performed well at 412 inch-pounds. Just like the Ryobi medium, the shaft broke free from the main body of the bit holder. And the Bosch has a very narrow torsion zone which absorbs the impact from the impact driver. And the Bosch broke in the torsion zone at 465 inch-pounds. And the Makita Gold has a long narrow torsion zone. And the torsion zone gave up pretty quickly at 361 inch-pounds, or about 100 inch-pounds less than the Bosch. And there's no torsion zone with the Irwin. And the shaft on the Irwin finally gave up at 538 inch-pounds. Just like the Irwin, there's no torsion zone with the Hilti. And the Hilti performed very well, finally breaking at 689 inch-pounds, which is good enough to move into 3rd position. And the main body on the Hilti experienced a crack from end to end. And the main body of the Neiko seems to be made of aluminum. And the main body of the bit holder broke on the Neiko at 436 inch-pounds. The DeWalt with the bit holder lock experienced quite a bit of torque before it finally experienced a broken shaft, 608 inch-pounds. And the Norske experienced even more torque than the DeWalt at 652 inch-pounds. And the shaft on the Norske became disconnected from the main body of the bit holder. And the unstoppable Crescent Vortex stopped at 289 inch-pounds. And there's no external damage, so let's cut open the Vortex later in the video to check out the damage. Just like several of the other brands, the Milwaukee has a shaft with a torsion zone. And the Milwaukee performed well, finally breaking at 621 inch-pounds. For a bit holder with a locking mechanism, the Wera handled quite a bit of torque. And the shaft on the Wera finally broke at 673 inch-pounds. The German-made Wiha performed even better than the Wera, and the main body of the bit holder finally cracked at 719 inch-pounds. If you're looking for a bit holder that can handle the most torque, the Ryobi medium came out on top at 759 inch-pounds. The very affordable Horusdy finished in 2nd place at 723 inch-pounds, Wiha 719, Hilti 689, and Wera 673 inch-pounds. If you've ever had a driver bit get stuck in a fastener, you have to stop what you're doing in order to reinstall the bit. So let's compare the holding strength of the bit holders. And the Horusdy let go of the driver bit at 488 grams, which is very close to 1 pound. And the Tomoto Palace offers a lot less holding strength at 278 grams, or just over a half pound. In the locked position, the Yakamoz easily held over 3,000 grams or around 7 pounds of pressure. In the unlocked position, the bit is very easy to remove at 319 grams. The locking ring in the magnet on the Makita is very strong, holding more than 3,000 grams. So when it comes time to swap out bits, you might need a pair of pliers to remove the bit from the Makita. And the magnet on the DeWalt isn't too strong at only 462 grams. Ryobi short bit holder has a pretty strong magnetic pull at 1,098 grams. The medium length is pretty strong at 811. The long bit holder did well at 992 grams. In the locked position, the Bosch easily held over 3,000 grams of pressure. The Bosch has a really strong magnet and it takes nearly 1,000 grams of pressure to remove the bit. Just like the Makita ImpactX, the Makita Gold has a very strong magnet at over 3,000 grams. The bit change will take some effort at over 7 pounds of pressure. The Irwin easily held 3,000 grams of pressure in the locked position. Unlocked, the Irwin let go at 498 grams. And the Hilti has a very strong magnet at 1,098 grams. The Neiko has a pretty strong magnet at 937 grams. And the DeWalt easily held 3,000 grams of pressure. In the unlocked position, 717 grams for the DeWalt. The Norske has a very strong magnet at 1,154 grams or about 2.5 pounds. And the magnet with the Crescent Vortex is very strong at 1,789 grams or about 4 pounds. And the Milwaukee easily held onto the bit at 3,000 grams in the locked position. In the unlocked position, 1,095 grams for the Milwaukee. And the Wera easily held onto the bit at 3,000 grams in the locked position. The bit is very easy to change out in the unlocked position at only 250 grams. In the locked position, the Wiha held onto the bit at over 3,000 grams. And the bit is pretty easy to change out in the unlocked position at just over 1 pound or 545 grams. If you're looking for a bit holder that won't have accidental bit releases, all the bit holders with locks held at least 3,000 grams or 7 pounds of pressure. Both Makita bits held 3,000 grams of pressure without releasing the bit. Some of the bit holders have locks which help prevent accidental bit release. In the unlocked position, the Wera allows for the easiest bit change at only 250 grams to remove the bit. The very affordable Yakamoz perform very well at 319 grams, Irwin 498, and Wiha 545 grams. If you're not concerned about accidental bit release and you only want a bit holder that allows for easy bit changes, the Wera takes the least amount of effort at 250 grams. Tomoto Palace requires 278 grams of pressure, Yakamoz 319, DeWalt 462, and Horusdy 488 grams. Let's see which bits offer the best magnetic hold on a fastener next. And the Horusdy's magnet isn't strong enough to lift a screw. And the magnetic pull from the Tomoto Palace is very weak at only 3 grams. And there's not enough magnetic pull from the Yakamoz to lift the screw. Just like the Yakamoz, there's not enough magnetic pull from the Makita ImpactX to lift the screw. Very little magnetic pull from the DeWalt. Just like the DeWalt, very little magnetic pull from the Ryobi. And the Bosch has the strongest magnetic pull yet at 35 grams. And the Makita Gold has a very strong magnetic pull at 798 grams or close to 2 pounds. Very little magnetic pull with the Irwin. 68 grams of holding strength with the Hilti. And the Neiko performed good enough to move into second place at 682 grams. The DeWalt performed about the same as the Hilti at 65 grams. And the Norske moves into the lead with a very impressive 1,088 grams. Very little magnetic pull with the Crescent. And the weight scale just isn't too excited about the Milwaukee at 19 grams. The Wera barely edged out the Milwaukee at 25 grams. And the Wiha performed well at 106 grams. If you're looking for a bit holder that'll assist with picking up or holding on to screws, the Norske has the strongest magnetic pull at 1,088 grams or just over 2 pounds. The Makita Gold performed well at 798, Neiko 682, Wiha 106, and Hilti 68 grams. Even Cousin Eddie found it very difficult to remove the bits from the Makita, which has the retaining ring. So what about installing bits? Applying no more than 1 pound or 2 of force to install a tiny sharp bit seems pretty acceptable. Most of the bits have magnets which help pull the bit into position. However, the Crescent Vortex, Makita Gold, and Makita ImpactX all have retaining rings which make bit installation more challenging. Several of the brands advertise having a narrow profile to access hard-to-reach areas or to allow for good visibility of the bit tip and fastener when working directly over the tool. While providing a rating for visibility is subjective, about half the brands offer the best possible rating of 1. However, the only brand with a locking bit holder with a rating of 1 is the DeWalt. The other brands have a much larger profile, and that definitely gets in the way at times. Let's cut open the Crescent Vortex and take a look at the build construction. Instead of using a shaft with a torsion zone, the Crescent Vortex has a sleeve that stretches to limit the amount of torque that's applied to the bit. Let's go ahead and peel off another layer. And there's no contact made between the input and the output shaft. As a torque limit is reached, the sleeve that wraps around both ends of the tool stretches to allow the input shaft to turn without forcing the bit holder to spin. Very interesting design. Converting performance values into an A through F grade is very subjective. However, it does make figuring out which bit holders have all the necessary features a lot easier. For example, the very affordable Horusdy finished in 6th place choice overall since it performed very well in most categories. Not bad for a $1 bit. However, it performed poorly for bit retention and has a very poor quality magnet, which can be a deal breaker for many applications. It seems like the DeWalt with the locking mechanism is the best value when you consider all the features it has and the price. However, if you're really looking to save some money, why not just buy the Ryobi bits? They perform very well and they're very reasonable at about $5 each. I also like the Wiha bit holder quite a bit, but it is pretty expensive at $20. All the videos on this channel are viewer suggested, so if you have a video idea, I hope you'll take time to leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching, please take care, and I look forward to next time.